I'm not saying that that's completely false, but it's not completely true.
Right.
Because there is a way that a man can do that while he's ejaculating. He can simultaneously regenerate, and the woman can do the same as he reduces his breathing and his heart rate and his mind to an alpha state.
Mm-hmm.
And so when he's reducing his mind to an alpha state, because, you know, that's the state where you're going into trance. You're not sleeping. You're awake, but you're very, very relaxed. So you're tapped directly into the subconscious mind, the superconscious, and the God-conscious mind, where anything and everything is possible. So you are like your conscious state, but you're in your God state at the same time. That is when you can actually call things down that be not as though they were. You can materialize them and do sex magic to complete a particular goal with your partner, as well as to regenerate your own mind. That will in turn trigger the regeneration of the cells in your body.
Right. And have you practiced this with men in your life who didn't know what they were doing? Did you show them sort of the hands-on technique as to how to make that happen?
With the regeneration?
Yep. It
just came to me when I wrote my lecture on the metaphysics of sex for April 10th. So to be honest with you, I've actually been celibate the past few years, and it's in my celibacy.
Interesting.
That I started to do this show, and I received my information.
That's awesome. So how's that going for you, being celibate?
Well, it's a choice. So like I said, it's a healing and a regeneration process for me, because I had to do a lot of healing and a lot of cleansing because I was picking the wrong sex partners and had a lot of very bad dysfunctional sexual relationships. That was because of my mental, emotional, and spiritual and psychic wounds. So I had to get back in touch with myself, and I had to start my healing.
Right. So are you in some ways preparing your temple to meet a for lack of a better term, a soulmate, or somebody that can really match you in terms of your intention and your intellect and your body and all those other things?
Yes, because I do readings for people, and I do intuitive life coaching for people, and I always tell everybody to study Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, because the woman is the generator, and she creates her world, or she destroys her world, and everybody that comes in it only co-creates at her consent.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to realize that and do a lot of mental and emotional house cleaning and keeping, and get rid of a lot of self-hatred and low self-esteem thoughts, and not really loving and respecting myself. And that's why I talk about that so openly to people on my show, because they really want to hear the truth, and they're in a lot of pain, and they want to be set free. So they want somebody that's going to be real with them.
Right.
So I talk to them the way that I have to talk to myself, and I realized I wasn't ready to be in a relationship, but because of the condition of my mind, I was attracting things I said I didn't want.
Right, right. Well, that's walking your talk, as they say. That's terrific. I was talking with my new girlfriend earlier on tonight. She's also mixed. I got into this mixed thing. It was very interesting. You know, it's like I met this young woman, and she was mixed, and we had a great time. And then she decided that, you know, she wanted more, needed more, and she said, you know, see you later, sayonara, goodbye, and I let her go, because it's kind of how I see, you know, that's how I work with life. If somebody wants to go, let them go. And then like, at the door, it wasn't at my door literally, but figuratively, somebody else came into my life. And what's fascinating is she was mixed, and it was incredible. Like okay, apparently I'm not done with this.
Wow.
And so we've gotten very close, and she said to me tonight that you have a foundation that you work with women that have been abused. She told me this. Is this true?
Yeah, the nonprofit organization, the Center for Healing and Transformative Studies, but it's not just women, it's men too. I was surprised that half of my audience is men, and a lot of men are willing to listen to me and actually come to me and let me know that they have a lot of issues with women and themselves because they've been abused by men as little boys or even by their own mothers as little boys. So when I do the intuitive life coaching, that's how I do it. I see where their wound and where their need is, and then their spirit guides work with me and mine, and I create a program based on where their guides say that the wound and the issue is. So, yeah, people from all walks of life and all races that watch my show, a lot of them have been abused. That's
wonderful that you actually have a foundation to help these folks. The black male in our culture is such a tortured symbol, and more than a symbol, but an actual group of our culture. And I see things like when Dave Chappelle was on Oprah, and kind of blowing Oprah's mind and talking about how people like Wesley Snipes or even himself were asked to wear dresses, in these movies and do cross-dressing, and how humiliating that was. And he just said flat out, no, I'm not going to do this. I mean, you see this throughout our culture where there is a constant attempt to feminize and disempower the black male through our media. And how do you feel about that? What's your response to what Dave Chappelle was sharing with Oprah that day?
That's not the first time that I heard it, and that's a lot of times that's the way it is, because you see when he didn't do it, he's not on TV anymore.
That's right.
So it's not just in TV, it's in music as well. A lot of black men are having sex with other men to get record deals or to get movie deals or to get ahead in entertainment on some level. I mean, first it was just, the woman that called herself Superhead that bragged about having sex with the celebrities to get attention, and now she's a millionaire and wrote a book and told everybody she's screwed. Well, now men, a lot of them are secretly black men, going through the same type of deals, having to do the sex ritual to be able to get things that they want.
Wow. So on my website, I've done a couple of posts about Jay-Z and the Illuminati, and not just Jay-Z, but Nas and Kanye, and the whole Rockefeller thing. What's your thoughts on that? Because from the lyrics and a lot of the symbolism and the handshakes, I would say that there's definitely something dark going on there. What's your take?
I don't know if they're particularly involved in it, but I believe that the system exists because we see so many symbols around us, and when you look at basically knowing our history, those symbols come from Egypt. So those symbols belong to us. The obelisk, the beautiful obelisk of the phallus, the ankh, which represents the womb and the penis. When you look at the six-pointed star, it represents the vagina and the penis, because you have the two triangles merging, one up and one down. Right. So many of us don't realize that is our technology and that is our sacred geometry that is also inside of ourselves. So when we see those, subconsciously it activates something within us. And basically now our knowledge of our ancestors and that technology has been used as a weapon against us to enslave our people, and it's around us, but yet so many of our people perish because of the lack of knowledge. And then around at this very moment, we see on so many levels, it's like the system being locked down, rights being taken away. They're saying that this new healthcare program that's being created is actually going to hurt a lot of people because they'll be getting drugs or medicines or things that is going to actually help to reduce the population. Right. So when you look at a lot of these things that they say, you can see the evidence of this society exists. But I don't know which celebrities are a part of it.
Right. It's interesting. Just before you came on, I started talking about the symbol or the numerology of May. If you go from April, which is the 4th month, which is the square, and then you go to May, which is the 5th month, which is the 5-pointed star. And then when you add in May Day, which is the first day of May, we are talking about the obelisk. We're talking about the maypole, which is the obelisk, which is the phallic symbol. And then if you add the 5 to the 1, you get the 6, which is the 6-pointed star, which is exactly what you're talking about. And it's fascinating. And today is the 2nd of May. And I thought it was interesting that you're here with me on the 2nd of May because the number 2 is feminine. And it's receptive. It's the chalice. So if yesterday was sort of the May Day or the day of the May King, which is represented by the phallus, May 2nd is, to me, the day of the May Queen because it is the feminine. And here we are, the number 7, we're talking about esoteric mysteries with you tonight. I thought that was pretty cool.
Fascinating. Beautiful stuff.
Yeah, I thought it was fitting. So I wanted to relay a personal experience with you, or to you, and then I wanted to kind of get your take on this. I guess this was maybe about a year ago, and I was actually coming out of my marriage at the time, and I started to look around and just hang out with women and to see kind of what I would be interested in terms of if I wanted to be with somebody after my marriage, what that would be like. And I started to pay attention to black women in a way that I'd never paid attention to before. And the thing that I really enjoyed about relating with them was, for me, how open they were, and that there was a level of like flirtation and kind of frankness and not being afraid of me that I often experience with mostly white women. That was really refreshing to me. And at that point, I said to myself, this is something I wanted to explore because I didn't feel like there was a lot of fear there. And as a result of that, you talked about how things happen, in these subtle levels, in these etheric levels, and you're absolutely right, because I made a decision to explore, for lack of a better term, interracial dating or interracial, coupling, and then it became manifest in my life, and it was very interesting. But I want to ask you, just in terms of my experience, or how there was just a different racial connection that I experienced with black women that I did with white women, that was just more open and more, I don't know, it was more honest. Can you talk to that in any way?
Well, I guess it's just maybe there was something more of a value or open to you because it's different. And I think sometimes some black women might be infatuated or fascinated to date a white man, or are actually flattered that a white man would ask them out. Because some black women have a self-esteem issue and don't feel beautiful in this society and dealt with so much racism and rejection. So, and then we know a lot of white men are told not to date us and not to have anything to do with us, like that's a step down. Just like for the opposite, a lot of black men will date a white woman and that's a step up for him, or a trophy. So many times he will want the taboo. He will want something that he cannot have, and black men will say that white women are more open and less dramatic and argumentative than a black woman. So that's why I'm surprised that you're saying, that the black women were very open and very kind to you, but sometimes it is like a self-esteem booster to some black women that have self-esteem issues, and they're very flattered because they feel that a white man would, especially one of quality, would not pay them any attention in a way to be serious with them. A lot of us believe, based on the old slave movies or during slavery, that a lot of white men could not love or appreciate a black woman because we are only projected as sex objects, and believe that because a lot of white men have treated us that way, that they couldn't possibly see you and love you without being racist towards you subconsciously in some way, or not really wanting to have a family and children with you. You could only be the whore and never the wife. So